So the sun's mostly gone down. It's maybe 8:30. Float plane flying by. So I'm smoking some Balkan Supreme in a BP Jum. It's always a sort of a classic smoke. These wide shellables, though, not ideal. Bic for convenience. So I was into my dermatologist Wednesday and a couple days ago, and she immediately hands me this piece of paper. It's like how to quit smoking. It's like, come on. I tell them I'm a hobbyist smoker. It's a hobby for me. And it is true, I don't smoke very much. I haven't smoked all week since I got back from Chicago. I don't know. I am a social smoker. So that is what I'm doing right now, strangely enough. It works for me. Hmm. These Jums are good smokers, but any pipe is a good smoker, honestly. As long as it's got a clear channel through the bit, and I like to ream them out to 5/32 in the shank. They all smoke great. So certainly isn't a $4,000 Scandinavian carver pipe. Saw a few of those at the pipe show. Well, I didn't see them. I did see some pretty expensive pipes. And honestly, I wasn't there long enough. I wish I would have had a little more time at the show, just to have fun talking with everybody. You know, that's really the pleasure of it for me. I did buy a couple pipes. Ooey, the wrong nostril there. Uh, a Peterson house pipe in a state for a really good price. Couldn't pass it up. Thank you, Tom, for showing me that. I probably would never have seen it. So that was good. And then a large, half-bent, really large. Not like one of those Boswells, but, and there were some of those there too. They're like clubs. Caveman clubs. It's a pretty big pipe. I'll smoke it in one of these videos. From Crappy Pipes. And I got a t-shirt, so I said, yeah, maybe I'll be wearing it in a video or something. So I'll probably have to do that. Got to honor your obligations. So while I was there, I just wasn't there long enough to really get a good impression of the show. It did seem like all of the interior tables were filled. Some of the outside tables weren't. But other people have said that it was a good show. So, yay. I hope it was prosperous for everybody. Hopefully everybody found everything they were looking for. Always interesting to see the super duper selection of pipes and stuff. And of course the tobaccos that are out of production are anywhere from $75 to $90 a tin, usually. There are probably a few good deals to be had, but that's just how it is. So I think the challenge, if you're much of a smoker, is to find a blend that you like and then just buy a bunch of it and cellar it. Put it in jars and just keep it in the cellar and just go through it gradually. And it only gets better with age. I'm talking about Balkans and English blends. Virginias too, I think. They mellow out, they get richer, they get more complex. Yeah, less edgy. Before they stop selling tobacco at all. But I'm not complaining about it. And that brings up a topic here, which is I find that most people complain about something. They're dissatisfied with something, or they're angry about something. But they never get past that, you know? I think that's where it's time to... This has come up at my work recently. We're going through some structural transition, shall we say. Um, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Um, Folks are retiring and leaving. There's just kind of basically corporate restructuring, even though it isn't very corporate. Um, and it kind of puts everybody on edge. So, just in the last couple days since I got back from Chicago, wow, I've had to spend some real time with some of my coworkers, just being able to hear them verbalize their frustrations. And that's good. People need to do that. I think in the process of putting mind conversations into words, it crystallizes and coalesces thoughts. And that is super useful. So it condenses, it focuses. So just being able to talk about something versus just thinking about it in your head is so important. And sometimes I think that is all that is required, because people find their own solutions to problems. Um, Women in particular, in my experience, tend to um, benefit from just being able to verbalize about something. They don't need mansplaining. They don't need, oh, here, let me help you with that solution. Um, they just need to have a sort of a sounding board so that they can hear themselves structure those thoughts. And then oftentimes the solution, if there is one, if that's even required, is pretty obvious. But honestly, if you don't have somebody to talk to about it, you just sort of do this spin in your head. It's just not productive. So for a couple people, well, yeah, we talked about things, and then I find with guys, sometimes they are looking for uh, a walk through the talk, like just a little more directed. So what's to be done about this? What do you think should be done? What can we do? And oftentimes the magic is just seeing the situation clearly, because the situation exists outside of us. It just exists. We interpret it. Everybody interprets it and slightly differently. But the actual situation is there. It just is. So at least with the information that we have. Oftentimes there's additional information we come across later or whatever that reveals a more nuanced explanation. It isn't as black and white, maybe. Um, but honestly, just being able to see a situation as it is so important, and yet it's so simple. I mean, it seems simple, but it really, when you're in the heat of the moment or you're just experiencing your frustration, it really isn't. Um, so there's value. I mean, the place I work is much like a family, and I think that word is sometimes overused, but really our place of work is really family-like, and with all the characters that you get in a family. So, so just being able to talk comfortably, step one. Step two is sharing together that vision of what is, and oh, that is the situation, and that is what we've got. Okay. And then a lot of people just kind of stay there. I think that's enough for them. For myself, I always like to keep in mind the bigger goal, whether it's meow, yeah. What is your bigger goal? Sleeping, eating, being petted, and meowing. Um, the bigger goal is to accomplish the tasks that we're set out to accomplish for the organization, so, and the people we serve. So, keeping that in mind, just bringing that up for viewing. Oh yeah, that is kind of our goal, isn't it? Okay. So how do we get there from here? So that's it. I find it fascinating myself. Kind of an interesting dialogue. And it has to be a dialogue. It can't be mansplaining. And I'm always interested in how my coworkers see their role in the organization. Because it can be pretty different from mine. So, it's so relaxing. So, yeah. So we've been actually doing quite a bit of this, sitting down and just talking. And it may seem on the surface like, oh, well, that's not productive time. But, wow, it sure is. Surely is. And afterwards, when people feel like, oh, they've gotten a little clarity or something, it's priceless. So, but organizations are so interesting to me. Uh, there's a structure that is endemic in an organization, any organization, I think. Boeing is a case in point. So, in order to make more money, to raise the share price, and return money back to shareholders, they're always cost cutting. And of course, this MCAS thing, taken in isolation, it's like, oh my God. But honestly, there's a systemic problem going on there. And yes, I own Boeing stock, not a huge amount of it. But, as this management guiding, as it becomes less and less of an engineering company, and more of a Wall Street driven company, and that was certainly driven home when they moved headquarters to Chicago from Seattle. And now with the FAA oversight being not so much of an oversight and Boeing pushing for less and less FAA oversight, I'm simplifying that, but that's the end result. Along with, there were issues from the very beginning with the 737, with like a high voltage line coming into the fuel tanks for a sensor. That shouldn't happen. It should all be low voltage. The fuel tanks can get too warm, and that wasn't addressed. There were a couple of other things that honestly could have been addressed in the 737 MAX update, if you will. And they weren't, because it would cost money and it would slow things down. And it's so irresponsible. I'm appalled. And honestly, Boeing is so representative of Seattle that I think everybody is traumatized in this city from what's happening at Boeing. And, the thought used to be that there just was nothing better. There was no better quality. There was no better engineered product. And certainly the safety record of the NG series of the 737s is like spectacular. But, wow, things, it's this MCAS thing is just opening the lid and taking a peek in, and there are some not very pretty things happening in there. So luckily they're exposed to the light of day, so hopefully they'll be addressed. But wow, it's hard on people here. I'm not talking share price or anything like that. I just think, it's embarrassing. It's not, those are not the values that Boeing has always fundamentally embraced. So, yeah, and from the people I've known who worked at Boeing, their conclusion was that the mischief really started when Boeing bought McDonnell Douglas, and the management team became McDonnell Douglas. And so in a sense it was like McDonnell Douglas buying Boeing, because it changed the whole corporate culture to a more shareholder-driven, Wall Street-driven company. So, anyway, I would be happy to fly a MAX. I think they'll be super duper safe. No airplane more closely scrutinized, but a lot of people will not share that opinion, I think. Anyway, beautiful evening. Nice smoke in a vintage pipe. I'm going to guess from the 50s, possibly into the early 60s. Life is good. Meow. Kitty kitty. Always on the alert. So this is my smoking chair in the backyard. Kind of underneath the hawthorn there. Next to some bushes that the deer have stripped bare. Some rhubarb in the background. Forgot to mow this stretch. Oops. This morning when I mowed, So here's the backyard, nice and lush, although we're really dry. So a little cabin in the woods. Yeah. This is such a great place to smoke. I have another one out in the backyard. This is kind of the backyard. But it's just such a wonderful place to smoke. Yeah. Kind of protected by the trees. Okay, so here's the Friday afternoon in the smoking tent with lots of tables over there of people selling stuff. A little wine and beer. There's some stuff outside too. I just had to laugh when I came in here because it was just this, all the smoke and all the laughter, the loud noise. It's just so much fun. So this is the Chicagoland Pipe Show on Sunday morning, so this is pretty quiet. There are probably lots of videos about this. So this year I seem to just be hankering after a freehand. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what's been catching my eye. You just wander around and see what catches your eye. So we'll see if we find it. There was a nice Randy Wiley over at Ivan Reese, so we'll see if that ends up in my pocket. We'll see. So we're here at Wing Spread, which is the Johnson Wax magnate's home. I guess we're still in Racine, Wisconsin. A Frank Lloyd Wright constructed building from the 30s, so it's one of his later expressions. And it's very interesting. The detailing, as always, is just fascinating. Sometimes it doesn't work very well, but you know, it's a building on a grand scale. And we have not been through here yet, through the tour, but should be a lot of fun. So we're doing a little rail fanning in West Chicago. There's some of the guys, here's some more. And here's why we do it, because there's a diamond here with 3 cross tracks and this Canadian National track, formerly Wabash maybe, coming along here that we're standing on top of. We'll see if a train comes through here.
almost locked. So it must be